The Abbotsford Canucks off to a strong start in round 2 of the American Hockey League playoffs. They beat Coachella Valley 3-1 in their series opener. Let's break it down. This is Rink Wide. And we welcome you inside the Rink Wide studios in downtown Vancouver. And the second round starts as the first one did for the Abbotsford Canucks as they defeat their opponent. In the first round, it was the Doosan Roadrunners. This time around, the Coachella Valley Firebirds, the Seattle Kraken's top farm team. But the Firebirds, no match for the Abbotsford Canucks. 3 different goal scorers, a couple of them defensemen. And all of the scoring in this hockey game coming early in the first period, or at least in the first period. The first goal of the game came early in the first shot. Coachella Valley got the start it was looking for on home ice, up to a 1-0 lead, a minute and 36 seconds into the hockey game. Ryan Winterton beats Artur Silovs, but after that, Silovs stood tall in the Abbotsford net, didn't give up another. And Jet Wu, Danila Klimovich, and Guillaume Brisebois with their first of the playoffs. And so this Abbotsford team continues to spread its offense around. That was part of the story of a big Game 3 victory over Tucson to advance. And here, 3 unlikely heroes, at least based on the first round. Klimovich led the team in goal scoring during the regular season with 25, but wasn't much of a factor in the first round. So good to see him getting off to a good start in round number 2. Rink Wide is brought to you in part by Bet365. You know the drill. We've been doing it all season with the Vancouver Canucks. Going to carry this over now into the Abbotsford Calder Cup playoff run, and we'll do this after each and every game. And if you want your comments read and get to the top of the queue, hit us up with a super chat. Our super chat charity partner is the BC Mental Health Foundation, changing the face of mental health and addiction by supporting breakthroughs in care, public understanding, research, and knowledge exchange. Dave Hall from Canucks Army is going to join me here in a couple of minutes, and we'll get his thoughts on what he saw and what he's looking forward to the rest of the series. Again, it's a best of 5, and so, it's not quite as imperative as it was in the opening round to get the first win, which Abbotsford did, and immediately put the screws to Tucson. Now, Tucson bounced back in Game 2, and Coachella Valley certainly stands a good chance of bouncing back in the second game of this series as well on Saturday night, but this is another short series. This is a best of 5. And Abbotsford made the calculated decision to start on the road with 2 and then ensure that the home ice advantage was at the back end of the series. Well, with this win tonight, Abbotsford has guaranteed now that it will be able to win the series on home ice. And so we'll see where things go here. But you take the first one, you have applied all the pressure. Coachella Valley, they won't be eliminated with a loss on Saturday night, but they don't want to fall down 0-2 heading back to the Fraser Valley for the duration of this series with games 3, 4, and 5. Of course, 4 and 5 if necessary. Next Wednesday, next Friday, and Mother's Day Sunday, if in fact this series does go the distance. But again, you love the defensive work of this Abbotsford team that shut out Tucson in Game 3, 5-0 to advance. 1 goal in the last 2 games. That's how you get it done at this time of year. So they're a resilient bunch, giving up the first one as early as they did in this hockey game. Yeah, that had to be difficult, but the beauty of giving up an early goal is there's still a lot of time left to get it back. And that's exactly what Abbotsford was able to do midway through the period. They tie it up 2 goals a minute and 5 seconds apart. Jet Wu at 9:26 and then Klimovich at 10:31. And so they erased the deficit. They're out in front, and they didn't look back. Guillaume Brisebois scored at 16:45 of the first period. Yes, Guillaume Brisebois getting in on the offense. So 2 defensemen, as we said. That's a pretty good combination. Your defensemen are scoring. Your goaltender is stepping up and standing tall. Close call on a Coachella Valley power play. Midway through the third period, Coachella Valley thought they had scored to get within 1. Puck got to the red line. Part of it probably got across the red line, and Silovs was able to reach back and knock it out of harm's way. So a close call there. The horn went in the building, but it was not a goal. Officials looked at it. They showed the highlights, and the whole puck has to cross the line. It didn't. And so play on, and that's exactly what they did as they win it by a score of 3-1. So good on Abbotsford. This is an incredible story. They've won 11 in a row on the road. Didn't have to play a road game in the first round of the playoffs. This is their first road game since game 72 of the regular season. They've become a machine on the road. And when you factor in this run down the stretch and now into round two, Abbotsford is 19-2-1 in its last 22 hockey games. So they are on a roll. Hottest team in hockey. Like, forget just the AHL. They are the hottest bunch in professional hockey, and it's serving them well as they grab an early lead in this series. We'll get to Dave Hall here in a sec. We got a super chat from Spatzilly, who says, J-Pat, you're truly a goat, and listening to your post games has been a happy place for me since I was a teen. Appreciate it, Spatzilly. And look, we think we've latched on to something good here with the Abbotsford Canucks. The way they played down the stretch, all the NHL guys that were up with the big team that have been returned. And look, they are on a roll. And you just hope that they can run with this for a while yet. So we're going to have some fun doing these Rink Wide Abbotsford editions, if you will. It's been great to have Dave Hall and his insight, and we'll get to Dave here momentarily. Rink Wide is a presentation of Greta Bar YVR, and we have told you all season long, great place to watch not just Canucks or Abbotsford Canucks, but any sports with all the big screens. Not a bad seat in the house. They've got the arcade games. If you're looking for something else to do between periods or the game's not going the way that you want, I just need a change of pace and a change of scenery. You've got the terrific new street food menu. They've got weekly drink specials. Greta Bar, the place to be, 50 West Cordova. Greta Bar, let the games begin. Dave Hall, as he has throughout this run and will continue to do here, joining us on Rink Wide. And Dave has been following this Abbotsford team for a couple of seasons. Certainly been more hands-on than I have, but I'm enjoying doing these Rink Wides, Dave. We had fun in the first round, and what a start. Maybe not to this game, giving up the early goal, but I love that part of the story as well, that not phased, no big deal, get behind the 8 ball early, but they reverse course and win this thing going away.
Yeah, and I think I mentioned it after game 3 there, but if there was, if there was a title of this season for the Abbotsford Canucks, it's just resiliency. This has been going on all season long. Even whether it's a goal, 2 goals, they get down, they just don't seem to get phased. And so, yeah, you'll love it. 39 straight saves, or 29 straight saves for Archer Sealows after that. And they settled in, and, it wasn't a super eventful game, if you will, but that's the kind of hockey the Canucks are willing to, we're happy to play after a 3-1 lead. So
I didn't love the way they played the third. I thought they sat back a little bit, but with a 2-goal cushion, you have that luxury. Mm-hmm. And actually, I thought maybe the best part, well, they had the penalty kill, and we talked about the close call for Coachella Valley. But once Coachella Valley pulled the goaltender with just under 4 minutes to go, I liked the way Abbotsford defended there. They didn't score with the empty net, but I didn't think that they really gave up much in the way of glorious opportunities. And, I don't know if they're unsung heroes, but, we sang the praises of Victor Mancini because he played so much in the opening round. He was fine in this hockey game, but Jet Wu, Guillaume Brisebois logging tough minutes as he does as a veteran on this team. I mean, the goal scoring obviously is a bonus there, but, when the chips are down, you lean on some of these guys that have been through battles at various levels. I just thought this was a thoroughly professional performance from a guy like Guillaume Brisebois.
Yeah, you named it. You actually stole the words right out of my mouth. It seemed like in Series 1, all we could see was Victor Mancini. I mean, he had his moments tonight, but it was a good thing. I don't think we saw him as much as we may have seen at all in the first series. It seemed like Guillaume Brisebois, not only did he score that goal, but he also had some pretty clutch defensive plays in the third period there. There was one play where he actually hit his own teammate at the blue line, gave up an odd man rush, but he got up and sprinted towards it and got his stick to break up a pretty bad or decent looking odd man rush. So it's one of those things where you need that secondary scoring coming from other angles, and so it was nice to see three career firsts tonight with Klimovich, Jetwu, and Brisebois. So
yeah, and look, Sammy Blais was terrific in the opening round. Archie Baines had 4 points in those 3 games. We talked at times about guys like Linus Karlsson and Atu Ratu. You look up and down the score sheet. Karlsson did get an assist on the Jetwu goal, but this wasn't a night necessarily for the stars of this Abbotsford team and a lot of the guys that logged significant minutes in the National Hockey League. This was more a homegrown Abbotsford win when you get goals from Brisebois and you get goals from Wu and Klimovich, guys that spent the entire season doing that for Abbotsford. And so I look at that as a huge positive that, this wasn't, the NHL guys are carrying the day. This is more the fabric of what Manny Malhotra had to work with all season long, and these guys stepped up to get the series opener.
Yeah, I agree, and it was a bit of a weird game like that as well, though. Like other than Guillaume Brisebois, I don't know if there is any one single person or one player rather that I specifically remember standing out for most of the game. But yeah, it's one of those things like you mentioned. When you're not getting that top line effort from Sasson, Archdeep Bains, and all that stuff, you need those secondary scoring, that bottom six scoring, stepping up, and they did it. And I had to be like, the one play I did love was Linus Karlsson's forecheck on the Jet Wu play, or the Jet Wu goal rather. The forecheck to lay that huge hit and then steal the puck below the goal line just to give it up to Jet Wu all alone there. I thought that was great. But yeah, just an all around effort. I think if there was one single star, it's probably Artur Silovs in this one. So other than that, though, it was just an all-around game. So
yeah, hold your thoughts here because we'll get to our 3 stars a little bit later. Don't want to give it away. I got to tease that, but we'll come around to the 3 stars. And Klimovich, like we've talked about the fact that when other guys are up, he was playing higher in the lineup, gets pushed down. Maybe it's understandable why he wasn't as much of a factor in the opening round against Tucson, but I just think this is good for him. You don't want to get deep into a playoff run when you're a goal scorer and wonder when you're going to get that first one. Yeah. And the longer it goes, then, mind games and other guys are doing things and maybe you feel like you're not pulling your weight. And so I think it's important for a young guy like that to get on the board, to do what he's done all season long. And so, again, those 2 goals, a minute and 5 seconds apart, really kind of turned that first period and effectively turned the game on its ear.
Yeah, it's great to see him score. I'm a little shocked to hear that was his first career playoff goal. To be quite honest, like it seems like he's been here forever. So it's definitely a nice monkey off the shoulder. Admittedly, I still would have liked to see a lot more from him. There was that goal, but we didn't see too much of him. So there's still that there's still that want of him kind of taking over a game, but playing third line minutes, it's really hard to get that opportunity. So good for him, monkey off his back. Let's hope that it leads to a few more, especially with a guy like Jonathan Lekkerimäki still out of the game. So
yeah, and if people are wondering, same lineup as the other night of game 3, and so no Lekkerimäki, no Christian Wolanin. We don't really have much in the way of updates there, so we'll have to wait and see. I'm not sure if they're even on the road trip here with the Abbotsford Canucks. Game 2, by the way, goes 6 o'clock, so an hour earlier on Saturday, and that means Rink Wide will be on. Well, I say that. It could go to overtime, I suppose. We'll be on after the game. I don't know, just the start time may not dictate when we get going here with Rink Wide, but whenever the game's over, we'll be back to do this after game number 2. Do we know, and look, you get breaks along the way, and you got to take advantage of them. Mitchell Stevens scored 3 of Coachella Valley's 6 goals in the opening round against Calgary. He didn't play in this hockey game, and neither did Cale Fleury. Do we any idea why they were? No? All right.
AHL updates are interesting enough to get on a good day, let alone the playoffs. So yeah, exactly. So that's a huge swing for the Canucks, though, especially in a quick 5-game series. Having 2 of their top players essentially out is a huge break for the Canucks. So they'll take it and run with it.
How important is getting the opener, and what do you think it does for Abbotsford now to set up the rest of the series?
Yeah, I think it's huge, especially with home ice advantage. I think it's huge to go into Coachella Valley and take a game out of a pretty packed barn. They've got a good atmosphere there. They're obviously a very storied team, even though it's only been 3 seasons. They're one of they've got pedigree already. So I think it's big for them to go in and Coachella. It's a real statement win, especially as we've talked about in exhaustion today. That players didn't really step up to have huge games. So to kind of get that collective effort, I just think it's good morale. And like I said, especially with them going back to Abbotsford after game 2, I just think it's definitely a good start for them.
The Canucks relied on the power play, not entirely, but power play went 4 for 16 in the first round. Tucson, one of the most undisciplined teams in the American Hockey League during the regular season. Abbotsford had to know that it would get some chances to work on the power play. The flip side here is Coachella Valley, I think the least penalized team if I've done my homework. And so you're going to have to score 5-on-5. There might be some power plays. There was 2 each way. Nobody scored. But I think that's a good sign too for Abbotsford that all three of their goals coming at 5-on-5, just stylistically and the way that Coachella Valley is disciplined, not nearly as many power plays likely in this round as there was the last time. So I think that's just going to put a premium on 5-on-5 scoring.
Yeah, and I think that's fine. I think Abbotsford's fine with playing that game. They're not necessarily considered overall a heavy duty power play team. So they're pretty good 5-on-5 guys like Max Sasson and Archdeep Baines. They really drive that play on 5-on-5. So I think they're perfectly comfortable playing that game. And if they get the power play here and there, then I'm sure they're not complaining. But I think it's a fine game, and I think they're willing to play it.
Archdeep Baines, you've watched this guy all season long. We saw him in the National Hockey League, despite the time that he missed in the NHL. Still led Abbotsford in scoring. Hasn't been dominant by any stretch, but he does have 4 points. Can you spin that's a positive, that there's more to give there from Archdeep Baines?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we've seen from time and time again that he has another gear in the AHL, and he, as most people do, we've talked Victor Mancini, Eric Brandstrom, all these players, they come down to the AHL, and it's just a different game. And so, you'd expect a guy that's gotten NHL games to play different down the AHL, but he's had his moments where he looks absolutely dominant. Not so much this year. Obviously, this year wasn't nearly as productive as he was last year, where he had accolades coming out of nowhere, like all over the place. But he's just one of those games that out of nowhere he can take over the game and just pile up the points. And he shows speed. He's got a great forecheck. He works hard, and so every once in a while it just always comes together at the AHL level. And I think there definitely is more to give. I think we've been kind of waiting for it all playoffs long. Yeah, he led the way with 4 assists, but I still think there's more, and hopefully we see a little more down the stretch.
Yeah, and I would think to a lesser degree, Atu Ratu, who hasn't really had a night where you thought, okay, easily the best player on the ice, but the longer they play, the more chances that a guy who finished so well at the National Hockey League level, I think, will establish himself. No surprise, a little feeling creeping into this game. Certainly at the final buzzer, looked like threatening briefly to explode. And of course, that's playoff hockey and trying to set the tone for what's to come. A bit of a scary moment midway through the second period when Jacob Melanson went straight to the net. Didn't make any attempt whatsoever to avoid contact with Artur Silovs. Trainer had to come out. Silovs, you could see him sort of stretching out and making sure that he was okay, and clearly he was, yeah. And obviously good news. I know that they've got Tolopilo as a capable backup there, but you don't like to see guys running the goaltender. I thought the officials handled that well, though. I mean, clearly a penalty, and they made that call on Melanson.
Yeah, and luckily he was able to, he was no worse for wear. He stuck in the game, and not only stuck in the game, but played really well down the stretch. So nice to see him good there. He's been playing good hockey, 3 out of 4 wins. So it's one of those things where you're kind of holding your breath. I mean, you're not too worried with Tolopilo going in, but he hasn't been very good against Coachella in his career. So it was one of those things where midway through the game, you don't want to see that backup go in. But yeah, thank God he was able to finish there.
All right, so a day off in the Palm Springs sun tomorrow. I say day off. They may practice, but back at it Saturday night, 6 o'clock. So we'll see if there are any changes to the lineup. Why would you mess with a winning lineup if you don't have to? So if everybody gets through this one healthy, I would think that Manny Holtra will come back with the guys that got the job done in Game 3 against Tucson and Game 1 here against Coachella Valley. All right, any parting thoughts, anything that we didn't cover here, Dave, that you want to mention?
No, I think it was good. It was one of those. It was a weird game I found. Just a bit low event. The first period was obviously just full of stuff, but I just thought the Canucks kind of sat back and were just kind of playing run the clock down hockey. And so yeah, I think we covered most of it. I think I think you'll get into the 3 stars here, where I think you'll kind of put a nice bow on the dock, and yeah.
All right, well, we will look forward to the Farmies. That'll be up later tonight at Canucks Army, doing a terrific job documenting this playoff series game by game. So we look forward to that after each and every Abbotsford game. And, of course, I look forward to working with you on Rink Wide, so we'll do it again on Saturday.
Absolutely. All right, see you then, Jeff.
There you go. Dave Hall from Canucks Army has covered the Abbotsford Canucks all season long, and so he is the guy that he's the man. We want to get him on Rink Wide as much as we can, and so we appreciate Dave's contributions here And that is going to lead us into the 3 stars from this hockey game. We sort of tipped our hand a little bit. The 3 stars are a presentation of Resurrection Spirits. And when we talk about Resurrection Spirits, we're talking about bogey juice these days, which is crafted with a tantalizing blend of crisp apple flavoring and kickin' ginger for that refreshing zing. Every shot of bogey juice like a hole-in-one for your taste buds. Sweetened to perfection with simple syrup and made even smoother with top shelf vodka. It's the only juice that's guaranteed to make your golf buddies beam with envy despite the score that it refers to. Check out bogeyjuice.com for more info. And right now you can use the promo code SP15 for 15% off Bogey Juice product and merchandise. All right, clean sweep for the Abbotsford Canucks and the Rink Wide post-game podcast. And there you can see... a couple of unlikely heroes, but hey, take it where you can get it. In a long playoff run, you're going to need some nights like this one. And I think Dave sort of summed that up. A fairly low event after the first period, but that's just fine when you're the team that has the lead. And Coachella Valley had to come all the way back, and obviously they couldn't. And so Abby's up 1-0 in this best of 5. Artur Silovs, the shutout the other night, gives up a goal on his first shot just 96 seconds into the hockey game. And after that, was a brick wall, and good for him. At the AHL level, not a lot of concerns. So obviously, it wasn't a great NHL season for him, but we'll see if he can backstop this Abbotsford team to a lengthy playoff run in the Calder Cup postseason. So Artur Silovs gives up 1 goal on 30 saves. My math would tell me that's 29 or 30 shots rather. That's 29 saves for Artur Silovs. So yeah, bit of an arty party tonight down in the desert. Guillaume Brisebois, a goal and 3 shots on goal. And as I said, some heavy lifting on the penalty kill late in the hockey game, grinding down the clock. There he is, the veteran stepping up in a big way. So I hope he's enjoying this. Who knows where his career goes? Obviously, he's been in the Canuck organization for a decade. Not much success, certainly at the NHL level, individually or collectively in his time in the organization. I hope, and my dealings with Guillaume Brisebois have always been positive, has the right attitude, some concussion issues that probably I've been wondering if, his career was going to continue. And so for him to be a part of this and stepping up and scoring, good on him. Just a good news story. Guillaume Brisebois, the second star, and Jet Wu, who tied the game at 1, so the first Abbotsford goal, also had 3 shots on goal. And somebody asking in the chat, was he playing right wing? Yeah, no. Playing his natural right defense position. Artur Silovs, Guillaume Brisebois, Jet Wu, the 3 stars of this hockey game, brought to you by Bogey Juice. Let's get right into the stat that stands out as well, because I think this tells a story about this Abbotsford Hockey Club. And they're fun to watch right now. And one of the reasons that they are fun is that you never know from night to night who's going to step up. Abbotsford's last 9 goals, and this is all in the playoffs. This goes back to game 2 against Tucson. Abbotsford's last 9 goals have been scored by 9 different guys. Like, that's spreading the scoring around. That makes it difficult. That means that guys aren't getting in prolonged slumps, that everybody's stepping up at some point here and contributing in different ways. And whether it's the top of the lineup in Blais and Carlson and Sasson, they all scored against Tucson. Here now, it's Jet Wu, it's Danila Klimovic, it's Guillaume Brisebois. So 9 different goal scorers. We thought maybe with the empty net that they would push that to 10, but no empty net goal in this hockey game. So maybe it's the first goal of the next game or the first couple of goals. So see how far they can push it. We'll be monitoring that. But yeah, 9 goals by 9 different goal scorers. Definitely a stat that stands out here on Rink Wide Vancouver. This portion of Rink Wide is a presentation of Pacific Toyota dealers. And we always tell you about the BZ4X, the 100% electric vehicle that is backed by peace of mind knowing it's Toyota, and that spark of joy you get when you pass a gas station knowing that you don't have to stop. There's also the added perk of being able to access HOV lanes when driving an EV, even if you're alone in the vehicle. It's got all the cargo capacity you could look for in an SUV. It's got storage room for kids and dogs and all of their sports gear, camping gear as we start to move into spring and the summer. It can handle any terrain, so it can take you from the city to the slopes. When you choose the BZ4X, get up to $6,500 in rebates and incentives. And now you can finance a 2025 BZ4X from 0.99% APR for 36 months. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Pacific Toyota dealer. All right. Again, Abbotsford takes advantage of the fact that Coachella Valley was missing a couple of players. I mean, that's playoff hockey. We don't have an explanation, but we'll see if Mitchell Stevens and Cale Fleury are back and available for game 2. If not, it's going to make it tough for Coachella Valley, but I don't think anybody in the Abbotsford locker room is going to be feeling sorry for them, not in the least. As I mentioned, this is a Coachella Valley team coached by Derek Laxdal, guy that has been a lifer in hockey and has had success at various levels. The discipline in that team is notable. So if there aren't a lot of power plays, it is going to mean that Abbotsford's going to have to find a way to score 5-on-5. All 3 of the goals tonight coming at 5-on-5. Coachella Valley's only goal coming at 5-on-5 as well, which means that Abbotsford has not given up, knock on wood for them here, Abbotsford hasn't given up a power play goal in the playoffs. Gave up a shorthanded goal in the opening round, but 2 for 2 tonight on the penalty kill, and so that pushes the streak to 13 here in the playoffs. Combination of goaltending, your goalie's got to be your best penalty killer, but the structure in front, and obviously a Manny Malhotra coach team, and I think more and more people, as the Vancouver Canucks are finished, Rick Tocchet has stepped aside, there is a job there, possibly for Manny Malhotra. I think more people are going to be watching Manny, the way that he coaches, the way that this Abbotsford team plays, and he's got his guys dialed in. And so, it's going to be interesting to see if the Canucks coaching job becomes a distraction in any way. But I do think that Manny Malhotra has been through the battles of professional hockey. He's got his eyes on a different prize right now. And he very well may be the next head coach of the Vancouver Canucks. But he's the head coach of the Abbotsford Canucks right now and doing an incredible job. A 44-win regular season, and he's already added 3 more to that here to get the playoffs underway. The first series started and was all played in Abbotsford, so this was the first road trip here in the playoffs, and they can scratch another one off the board. And again, it sets Abbotsford up beautifully now. Like, yeah, you want the split, but get greedy. Like, go in and get the first one, which they did, and now they have a chance to bring a 2-0 lead home. Coachella Valley will probably be better in the next game. They'll have a day here to make some adjustments. As we said, they may get some reinforcements, just don't know. But Abbotsford has put itself now in a position to get the second game out of Palm Springs and come on home in full control of this best of 5. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes, where it goes from here. Saturday night, 6 o'clock is the start time. And again, if you're just checking us out for the first time, yeah, like the Vancouver Canucks are finished. We weren't ready to stop talking hockey, so we thought, hey, let's do Rink Wide after these Abbotsford games. It's fun. We're watching them on the live stream and then getting a chance to break them all down and talk about them here. And so many guys that Canucks fans are familiar with because of the shuttle between Abbotsford and Vancouver during the regular season with the 16 players that played for the organization in both the American and the National Hockey League this season. So, again, there's just a lot of good stories going on around the Abbotsford Canucks, and we'll see how far they can push it here in the Calder Cup playoffs. The other Pacific Division series has not started yet. It'll get underway tomorrow, and that is the Colorado Eagles. They were the division winners. They're going to bye in the first round. They've elected to start on the road in San Jose, and San Jose pulled off the upset in the first round. So San Jose was the 7th seed, the last team to get into the playoffs, and they knocked off the LA Kings farm team. Tough first round for the Los Angeles Kings organization. They were eliminated at the NHL level by the Edmonton Oilers tonight, and the Ontario Reign, who played both of their first round games at Crypto.com Arena, but scored 1 goal in the first round, got upset by San Jose. So Colorado and San Jose, they get going tomorrow, and we'll do some out-of-town scoreboard watching, but the game that we're going to be watching closely is Game 2, Abbotsford in Coachella Valley on Saturday, the 6 o'clock start. Rink Wide is a presentation in part by Bet365, and we mention this on every show as well. If you want to get in on the action for the Stanley Cup playoffs at Bet365, they got you. From game props, player props, totals in the money line. You can even bet on futures like series winners, conference champions, the Stanley Cup champs, and a whole bunch more. Whatever you bet. It's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app and get in on the game. An official partner of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Must be 19 or older. Did I see David Quadrelli getting in on the chat somewhere? I think I did. He said, guys, please address the rumors that Artur Silovs is back in capital letters. I don't know that he ever went anywhere as an American Hockey League goaltender, but he had his struggles. Boy, did he ever. Only beat the Chicago Blackhawks. Got 2 wins, and they were both against the Hawks. But, I mean, it's been a fascinating career arc here that 2 years ago, became this folk hero back home in Latvia, guiding his national team as a 22-year-old. Started as the backup and got thrust into the spotlight, and they rode Artur Silovs to a bronze medal at the World Hockey Championship. Last year, of course, at this time, he had just taken over from Casey DeSmith and got Stanley Cup playoff action. Finishes Game 6 against Nashville with a shutout. On to the next round against Edmonton. Kind of felt like the Oilers maybe got to him and figured him out a little bit as that series went along. But still, this is 3 years now. World Championships 2 years ago, Stanley Cup playoffs last year, and now hoping to make a name for himself in the American Hockey League. And so is he back at the AHL level? I'm not sure that he ever left, but he still has a chance here to sort of salvage the season, a little bit of redemption, and they clearly have thrown their support as an organization behind Artur Silovs here in these American Hockey League playoffs. I see the chat, a lot of chat about the Vancouver Canucks and ownership. We're not getting into that here on Rink Wide, but I'm glad people are amusing themselves in the chat, and we're glad that you're in the chat. We're glad that you're here taking in and consuming Rink Wide, the Abbotsford playoff edition. All right, the goal scorers tonight again, Jet Wu, Danila Klimovich, and Guillaume Brisebois. Archie Bain's still looking for his first playoff goal. Atu Ratu is still looking for his first goal of these Calder Cup playoffs as well. And it's not that those guys are playing poorly, but you want to believe that those are going to be your difference makers. And I still think they can be and probably will be at some point, but a little bit of a slow start just in terms of really imposing their will on the way that any of these games has gone so far. Final shots, if you're watching on the live stream, you can see there that Coachella Valley had a 30-28 edge. Abbotsford outshot Coachella Valley 14-8 in the first period. And from there, Coachella Valley started to carry the play. As I said to Dave Hall, I didn't love the first 15 minutes of the third period. I thought that there was a little bit of sitting back, but you sit back, you kind of test the waters, and Coachella didn't really come at Abbotsford all that hard. Quite frankly, they did get a penalty. Phil Giuseppe took an interference penalty midway through the period, and that's where that close call and the puck got behind Silovs, but he was able to sweep it off the line. Other than that, Ryan Winterton at the side of the net with about 4 minutes to go had a pretty good look. Silovs made the save. He looked behind him, but he had the puck. And then from there, the goalie came out. They pulled their goalie with 3 minutes and 49 seconds remaining. Didn't generate much. Abbotsford, I thought, did a nice job keeping Coachella to the outside, to the perimeter, and getting into shooting lanes whenever there were shooting opportunities, and tried to kill as much of the clock up ice as they could, and did a pretty decent job of that. So good night all around. This thing wasn't the prettiest hockey game. Abbotsford doesn't care. They're in the win column. They got a leg up in a shortened best-of-5 series. That matters. So all the pressure swings to Coachella Valley for game number 2 coming up on Saturday, and that's when we're going to be back with our next episode of Rink Wide. And we hope that you will join us as well. Wondered if there was going to be any game 7 in the Stanley Cup first round. We know for sure that there will be one with Colorado staving off elimination and defeating Dallas 7-4. So those teams are going to go at it on Saturday in Game 7. And Winnipeg, St. Louis, I suppose there's a possibility there that series could go 7 as well. We'll see what tomorrow brings. But hey, right here, right now, we are focused on the Abbotsford Canucks and the full value for a victory in the opening night of the second round of the Calder Cup playoffs. They're on the board with a 3-1 win down in Palm Springs. All right, before we run, just want to take a moment to mention our partners, the Vancouver Canadians. And a bunch of us here from work were at the Nat on Tuesday, had a great night at the ballpark. The Seas took Hillsborough to the woodshed. They hung 15 runs on them. Now, I can't promise you're going to see 15 runs from the home team every time you're at the Nat, but the Seas can promise a great experience at the ballpark. We're out in the neutral porch, a great vantage point there. You can check out the Nooner at the Nat tomorrow, Friday, May the 2nd. Great excuse to get the weekend started. Early starts on the weekend, both Saturday and Sunday. You can check out the White Spot Family Fun Sunday on May the 4th. Yes, it is Star Wars Day out at the Nat. Kids get to run the bases post-game. So great family fun. For tickets, check out CanadiansBaseball.com. All right. Again, we appreciate your support. That's why we do this program. We know that there's interest in the Abbotsford Canucks as they continue down this path in the American Hockey League playoffs. So one win in round number 2, and we'll see what they look like on Saturday. That's when we'll be back. 6 o'clock is the puck drop, so not a conventional Saturday start time, a little bit earlier, but whenever it's done, whenever that final buzzer sounds, we will jump on here with the live stream and be back to break it all down. But that is going to do it for this program on this night. So thanks so much for checking out Rink Wide, the Abbotsford Playoff Edition.